Hello and welcome to another Wilderness Tamed video. And in this one we're going to be looking at Group 2 clematis. These are the ones behind me, the larger, more blousy flowers. They're more commonly seen in a garden situation and the most typically grown on a trellis, archway or arbour. A little bit more fiddly to look after than the Group 1s and Group 3s, which require sort of a lot less pruning and a lot less skill in the pruning, shall we say. Yeah, let's take a look at the characteristics of a Group 2 and then talk about some of the best ways to grow them. So if we have a look at the flowers and count back the number of leaf joints on the stems from where these stems have originated, and it's a little bit difficult, you usually find that the Group 2s will put on between 4 and 6 pairs of leaves and then produce a flower bud. So not particularly long stems, and then you'll see the flower buds appear. Once they've started flowering, then this sort of secondary growth, which you can use to build up the new framework, will shoot away, but will seldom have any signs of buds on the ends. There's another one here. So these can be cut back, nipped out at any stage in order to encourage more stems, which is in the previous video about training clematis on walls from several years ago, just encourages more shoots, and more shoots will support more flowers. There's another one. The problem with the Group 2s, and this is a Dr. Rupel, and it's one of the classic Group 2s, very popular, slightly darker veining on the sepals than a Nelly Mosa, which is probably the most well known. But they do tend to fade and bleach out in full sun, and this one is on a trellis on a south-facing wall. And as the flowers fade, they start to look quite unattractive, and as the leaves start to yellow and age, they also start looking fairly rubbish. Oh, look what we've got here. There's a ladybird larva. See if I can zoom in for you. And as you come down the plant, you start getting into the very unattractive bare stems, because this one's been allowed to grow straight up vertically and hasn't been trained outwards, so it's growing in a very narrow column. There's another ladybird larva. As you can see around it, that sort of debris is aphid skins as they've been shedding through their instars. There's another one with a larva there, which is great because they'll be munching away. Oh, there's another even bigger one, munching away on aphids and thrips and any other small pest insects. Not looking at this, there are ladybird larvae, or hoverfly larvae even, all over the place. Excellent stuff. So if you see these grubs, please leave them where they are, because I know they don't look particularly busy at the moment, but they have been controlling the aphids on this. There's a classic one, curled under a leaf, and of course that's where you're going to find the majority of your ladybirds, your aphids and thrips and things, sucking away on the sap. So yeah, whilst they're in flower, these Group 2s, the flowers themselves look amazing, but the leaves and the stems, not a particularly decorative thing. Clematis aren't grown for their foliage, which is why I tend to grow them up through other shrubs where the stems and the foliage are a bit lost, and it doesn't really matter, but the flowers will emerge above the foliage of the supporting shrub and put on a bit of a show. This is a classic example. Lots of bare stem, trained on a trellis, going up and up and up, and you don't get to any greenery or any flowers until you're pretty much at the upper limits of the plant. And then you're lost in bare trellis again. So just not really a great looking specimen at all, even when it's in flower. That's a bit of an unfortunate looking clematis there. Not even much of a display of flowers, to be honest. So pruning wise, as I've said, with these predominantly secondary growth, putting out loads of pairs of leaves, building up a framework, you can prune those back as hard back as you like in order to encourage more buds. Once these flower stems are finished, it's just a case of cutting back to the next healthy pair of leaves. So once that's finished, take it back to there, or even back a little bit further to the next pair of leaves, which is way down the stem there somewhere. And that'll encourage more shoots, and it's quite common for these group 2s to put on a second show of flowers. There's a recently popularised one called Pilu, which comes out initially as a double flowered or double sepaled thing in early summer. We're in early June now, and then if it's pruned back, it grows a bit more, and then I think about September time you often get a second show, but the flowers are more sort of a simpler structure. But again, training these, I would tend to plant them through a supporting shrub, or if you want them on a wall, follow the guidelines in the How to Train a Clematis video, and you'll get a better display. You'll get a display of colour from the base up. And these ones, the framework remains, unlike the group 3s, you don't prune them hard back or to almost ground level in the early part of the year, and then get a complete new framework growing throughout the summer. These ones, because they're they're flowering on short stems, as I say, 6 to 8 pairs of leaves before the buds appear, then you're maintaining a sort of permanent framework on your support. Going to look a bit pig ugly during the winter because it's just bare spindly twigs, but hey, if that's your thing, then fair dues. Good on you. It's whatever butter's your muffin, I always say, but I would like to see that spread more horizontally rather than up this flimsy trellis. I hope that's been remotely interesting and informative, and given you half a clue of what to do with group 2 clematis. As I say, with these paler flowered ones, I would tend to avoid putting them on south or southwest facing walls where the colours are going to bleach out in the sun. Like a lot of clematis, these are very prone to mildew in the latter part of the year, so you could apply a fungicide. I tend to prune out a lot of the affected growth, but then I only really have group 3 clematis in the garden, and even then only, less than half a dozen now. because they're not native. Yeah, give me a thumbs up and a subscribe and all the rest of it, and I'll see you in the next one.